And now, it's time for Socially Awkward Media with Levack and Goz. Awkward on 104.5 The Team.
Yes, it is that time again here on a Thursday at 4 o'clock to go over the best and the worst of social media. And you can chime in at 104.5 The Team, at Tom Goz, TOMGOZZ, at 104.5 Mariano, or at the Jeff Levack. Well, we always start with what's happened outside of here at 104.5 The Team. Celebrities, athletes, whatever they're up to on social media. Closure, you got one for us.
I have one. We were just talking about the best trios in the NFL, and one of them we said was Antonio Brown. Now, him and Brandon Marshall had a nice little wager on who would have the most receiving yards this season in the NFL. And Brandon Marshall sent him a video that if he won, he would have to send him one of his cars. Brandon Marshall said, okay, fine. But if I win, you have to send me one of yours. All right. So Antonio Brown goes, at B. Marshall, you could send me the pink slip or just donate the car to the charity. and he puts the video that Brandon Marshall did on Twitter 4 months ago.
When we were at Jets camp, I'm probably getting in trouble for saying this. No, I won't.
No. Go for gold. Why not?
They were not happy about that bet. The sponsor, who may or may not be involved with the Antonio Brown wager, because there is a huge car sitting out front of the Jets facilities where they work.
Okay.
Let's just say they weren't happy.
Why aren't you doing our car?
I'll put it as kindly as I can there involving the sponsor. So we'll go to Twitter now, and even though he's not here, Levack was getting some love on social media this week, and whether it's love, whether it's condolences, whatever the case may be, our guy, Tom on Twitter wrote, I'm so sorry for your loss. That's devastating after such a good season, bro. Jason Lewis, broken fibula is no joke. Hopefully they can rally after everything they've already accomplished. Talking about the loss of Derek Carr for the Oakland Raiders. Closer, he's not here, but help Levack. Make him feel better that the season is not over because Carr is now gone.
No, they're going to look at getting a bye this weekend. They still have a pretty good offense. The defense is the one that's been stepping up. Khalil Mack's having an MVP-type year. It's ultimately going to come down to, I think they could win their first game, which probably is going to end up being against Pittsburgh. Probably Pittsburgh, because I see Kansas City winning. So ultimately, they're going to be at home. It's bleak, guys. I think they have a chance, but definitely not that big of one.
Matt McGloin, Connor Cook, it may not even be on you. It's about the defense, isn't it?
It has to be now. There's no doubt. It's got to be on their defense to show up in the playoffs, because their offense, if they can score, I'll give you this, if they can score 17 points a game, I think they have a chance.
Closer, you played the game beer pong going through your days, right?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Beirut, as some people in New England call it. Yep. Here's a tweet I got from Jack Morgan on Twitter. I appreciate you chiming in, Jack. All I want for Christmas is to know what Tom Goz's all-time beer pong record is.
Ooh.
I don't know if you know people who do this, but I've kept track throughout my entire life of what my beer pong record is.
Oh, your entire life?
My entire life.
Not just an evening.
No.
Not what your record this weekend and New Year's going to be.
My time on Earth, I've kept my record. Now, here's the one thing. If you play with water in the cups, that does not count. Now,
really?
It's very clean.
Why?
Because I can do whatever I want with my record. If it's not beer pong, I'm not counting that.
No,
with
but
water.
you just drink the beer on the side. Why does the beer have to be in
people want to be sanitary now in the future.
Sure.
But I don't count my record is 52-62-2, by the way.
Ties, huh?
A tie.
How does one tie?
You play with both beer and liquor during the game.
Oh, so the game just doesn't finish.
No.
That's what we're saying.
No, it's too tough for the record. I got tweets when I responded with that. Sad, legendary. How could you remember something like that? It's sad you have a losing record. Help me
It
out
is
here.
sad that you have a losing record.
No,
that's pretty bad.
You should at least say how amazing it is that someone remembers that. You've played so many games, you probably have no idea what your record is.
I have no idea what my record is.
Have you even met someone who knows their record in that?
No, I know my best, and I'll say this just because I'll keep track in one night. I could never possibly keep track over my entire lifetime. I'm actually only shocked that you've played, 115 games? 16 games
I
in
played
your
way
life?
more than that, but with water cups.
See, all right.
It changes everything, man. It changes everything.
All right.
Nick in Syracuse chimed in. I don't even want to hear any more comments out of you and my beer pong. We'll talk about this later. You have one boiling up. Go ahead.
No.
You're fighting for it. Go ahead. Let it out.
I'm upset because over this water comment, but we'll get to that at some point.
What is upsetting you about the water comment?
Because you're still playing the game, guys. Just because you're drinking it out of the can or bottle as opposed to out of the cup, what is the difference?
My record.
So, why? Because your record's much worse when you play with the water? Is that why you did this?
We're going to move on to Nick in Syracuse.
Yeah, there it is.
Nick in Syracuse wrote, that said, I think Todd Bowles is also gone after next Sunday. You buying here? Nick in Syracuse tweeting that Bowles' last game is going to be this upcoming weekend for the Jets.
I don't. And the only way that would happen is if they get blown out. If they lose 41-3, then it's possible. Because after the incidents you're hearing in the locker room with Brandon Marshall, if he starts losing this team within the next 4 to 5 days, then I could think about it. But ultimately, I think Todd Bowles has at least one more year to turn this team around.
Me too. You got to decide here, quarterback or coach. Who's to blame here? And give Todd Bowles another. He had a 10-win season last year off a team who was 4-12. Give him another shot. If you want to move guys like Sheldon Richardson, QBs like Fitz and Gino and others, you want to see what the value is of Brandon Marshall, make those moves. Give Todd Bowles one more year because he had a lot of success in Arizona as a coordinator. He had a success last year. We'll find out the real Todd Bowles next year. Donald on Twitter writes in, he goes, real or mirage, Dak Prescott's play in the playoffs will determine what the Cowboys will do with Tony Romo in the offseason.
I think that's real. Absolutely. It's going to turn into, because you don't want another quarterback, and I'm going to say this is going to sound bad, but like Tony Romo, where he was so good in the regular season, and then when December, January came around, he was not so good. So you don't want another quarterback that's going to say, all right, I'll bring you to 14-2. Yep, no problem. And then I'm going to lose in the divisional round. Next year, we're going to go 11-5, lose in the divisional round. No, you don't need that. You want someone who's going to carry your team to a Super Bowl title, which many Dallas Cowboy fans have been waiting for now 20 years.
I'm going for mirage on this.
Are you?
What if Dak Prescott throws 3 picks and the Cowboys win? What if Dak Prescott plays terrible in the postseason and they go on to the Super Bowl? They can win despite Dak Prescott.
True, but it's going to look different if he's throwing 3 picks. If Jerry Jones, listen, Jerry's been spinning this wheel all season on Tony Romo's back there. We're going to make sure Tony's ready. So if all of a sudden Dak isn't playing well, I honestly could see, guys, let's say they make it to the NFC Championship game, okay? They're in their house. Let's say they're playing, I don't know. Let's say they're just playing the Falcons.
Okay.
All right, it's the Falcons. They're down 14-0 already. Dak's throwing 2 picks. We're 1 quarter in. I could see them going. Yes, they will. They absolutely. Listen, Jerry will get on his little elevator from his little suite, go all the way down to the sideline, and tell Jason Garrett, get Tony Romo up and throwing.
Oh, my God, that's Tony Romo's music. He's going into the game. I could never see that happening. It would be really cool for an entertainment standpoint of it. For our job, it'd be awesome, but that's not going to happen.
No, I would be shocked. If I asked any Cowboy fan that you were down 14-0 and Dak's thrown 2 picks for those 14 points in an NFC title game that you haven't been there in God knows how long, you wouldn't make that switch?
Not then. No.
I'd be shocked. I don't know.
Mike on Twitter writes in, now, you know how we usually sometimes on Twitter, to promote what's coming up on the show, we'll tweet out the guest list.
Sure.
Hey, so-and-so's coming up here. And by the way, Bill Bender's on the way previewing the college football playoff after this. Mike wrote in, he wrote, guests also include at DCAP55 to talk about his underdog run to a fantasy football championship. Hashtag thank you, Darren. That is the best way I've seen so far for someone to try to book themselves on the show. If you just accidentally tweet under our tweets, that's not how that works, but you did get an acknowledgement in socially awkward media. Do you respect the effort there by Mike trying to get Darren on to talk about a fantasy football championship?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure Matt Woods would want to do the same thing about fantasy football championship.
Oh, don't you worry. Poor Woodsy will get his time tomorrow at 4:45. He did a great job for us. He has a huge interview coming up for us tomorrow involving the UFC and Ronda Rousey. We'll just put it like that.
That'd be good. That's quite a tease for tomorrow.
That was going to be it in socially awkward media, but we're getting some tweets coming in about that hot debate we were just having about beer pong records.
Okay.
Mike wrote in, part of the game is to drink the cup with the beer from the table before you shoot. By the way, guys, I was a Hoba Kappa Sig
Oh, God. No wonder why you took this tweet.
college champion for 2 years.
Oh, my God.
17 wins in a row with Keystone, he wants to remind us.
With Keystone.
17 wins in a row with Keystone. So he's clearing that up for my alma mater, but that's not changing my record.
If you want to go off of records, then the best record I ever had in one night is I won 20 straight games with a buddy of mine.
Who are you playing against?
It was a party with a group of friends that I worked with.
AAA beer pong players?
For hearing your record, it was probably against people you knew. But other than that, then we come in and two of our friends haven't had a drink the entire evening, come in and play us and just blow us out of the water. But I don't keep track. And going off of the fact of having the beer in the cup, what is the difference, guys, of me grabbing my beer bottle and taking a swig of it as opposed to having the cup and putting it back on the table? I'm moving the cup to the same spot and then drinking beer. What is the difference?
Again, I'm not debating the style of play. I'm debating what my record is.
Just because you're upset because your record's so much worse.
We're playing water
with
pong.
Water in the cup. Maybe because what is it? Instead of 52, 62, and 2, you're 52, 122, and 2.
That's 60 more losses.
I know. And that's why I think it is. I think you're ashamed to tell everybody in the 518.
That's not it.
I think it is.
That's not it.
I think we might have to have a little party here at the station to figure out how good you are with the water.
I have a lot of respect for 6 ounces per cup, by the way. Mike wanted to add in there. We'll have a hot debate later on. I want to find someone else, by the way. We'll talk about what my record would be. We'll crunch the numbers. We'll send it over to 538. Nate Silver, he'll do it for us. I want to find out, honestly.
See if you can get back to 500.
At Tom Goz, TOMGOZZ, at 1045 Mariana. We'll give you a little bit more extra love on Socially Awkward Media. If you know someone else of friends, relatives, cousins, whoever, that knows their all-time beer pong record, and if you're young and you're in college, now's the time to start.
Guys, I used to have friends. Every weekend we would get together and play beer pong, and we had legit belts. We went out and got WWE-style belts, okay? So you had your World Heavyweight Champ belt, you had your tag team belts, and you got a hardcore belt, which I'll get into off the air. What it was intense.
It looked like the New Era Field parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
Tables going through.
Yeah, it was intense. It was one of those matches where you were lucky to survive, let alone win at that point. But it was playing so many times every single weekend, guys. I couldn't even tell you how many games I played, let alone what my record is.
We don't know the record of this guy when it comes to beer pong, but we do know he's great at his job, and that is the Sporting News' Bill Bender. He's going to cover some college football playoff action with us. What does he think about Alabama, the matchup coming up with Washington, Clemson, Ohio State? And could we see an upset on the way? And also the coaches involved. Could one actually have the potential to be going to the NFL as soon as this season? We'll touch on that next. It's Goz. It's the closer, Brian Mariano, here on Levack Goz on 104.5 The Team.